Today we've got two projects in one for you. First, we've got this 8-foot disc that we're going to be using out here to disc up what Shelby is calling her horse arena. After that, we're going to move some manure. This is our very first use of this disc. There are several major adjustments available on it, so it'll take us a while to get it dialed in. The biggest issue we had was it wouldn't pull straight. Look at that. It was totally unpredictable. It might pull way over to the right, it might pull way over to the left. It was really hard to deal with. In this scene, it's following along pretty well, and then right as I get up to this post, it decides to pull over to the right side. Shelby has to move that post to keep me from hitting it. Okay, so we got to make some adjustments.
I'm wondering if it still don't need to move forward, bud.
I agree.
Now is your back ones are giving the same kind of...
I don't think the back ones are causing the trouble.
A little awkward, I thought too, but...
I think the front ones are determined. I'm going to go a little deeper here on the setting. But let's move them another notch. What do you say?
Yeah.
So the disc gains can be set at various different angles. I had them in the most aggressive setting because I wanted the disc to cut as deeply as possible. We decided that aggressive setting was what would cause the disc to pull radically to the left or right. So at this stage of the project, we set the front gangs to 2 notches less aggressive, so they're not at as much of an angle. You might be able to tell this in the video. It's pretty clear that this adjustment has helped. It's helped a lot, but I do believe we can still see it kind of pushing back and forth left and right, like it's kind of grabbing a little harder than it should. Perhaps we need some more adjustment. I'm not sure that harrow is doing enough work. I'm thinking it may need a little more. See, it doesn't look like the harrow's doing much. Yeah, I think I need to put a little more down pressure on it. That's what I was thinking.
Probably. That might even help stabilize it.
What do you think, Dewey?
I feel like there's too much angle.
Still on the back one here?
Yeah.
Okay, we can take a little angle out of the back one.
Compared to this one, it still wants to throw your rear end around.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
a little more.
A little more, yeah.
And we had a little more difficulty adjusting the rear gangs. The brackets that hold the harrow to the frame, combined with the scraper kit on the blades, made it all a tight fit. But now we've got the front gangs and the rear gangs at 2 notches from their most aggressive setting. This seems to make the disc work much better. Now, any of these scenes you see with the time and date on them are from our AgCam camera kit. The recording on it looks a little bit grainy, but when you see it live in the cab, it is crystal clear. We've got 3 cameras, one mounted in the cab looking at me, one on the rear to see the disc, and we have one on the loader. Now that disc is doing a nice job, and I'm having an enormous amount of fun. It's a good time for me to introduce my friend Dave. Actually, my new friend Dave. He's been a long-time viewer of our channel, and he lives just a few miles away from us. And we invited him to come along on this project. He actually knows Shelby and Dewey, her grandfather, so I thought it'd be a good time to invite him along. Dave has a 1025R, and he just recently got a new King Cutter XB tiller. I thought it'd be fun to give him a chance to drive Johnny 5 with this disc. You can begin to see here that rolling basket harrow is working now. I've been wanting to show a pull-type disc in action, like this one. In fact, this is the smallest pull-type disc that I can find. I wanted a pull-type because it's so much heavier than a 3-point hitch-mounted disc. And weight is what allows a disc to actually work. We kind of demonstrated that even early in this episode when we didn't have it adjusted properly. The best spec to look at is the number of pounds per blade. 3-point hitch discs are usually in the 30 to 40 pounds per blade, while this pull-type disc is maybe 90 pounds per blade. So it should cut a lot better. Some folks may be asking why I have the weight rack on for the disc. Well, it's not for the disc. It's for the second part of our project coming up. I put a lot of thought into this, trying to figure out the easiest way to convert between these two different types of projects, as it's a good ways from our house and I didn't want to make 2 trips. Finally, I realized that I could leave the weights on, even though they wouldn't really help or contribute to the disc in any way, but they weren't going to hurt anything. I'll take the disc off now so that we can get on with the rest of the project. But first, I'll clean up that little area I disced through the gate. Shelby didn't like how rough I left it. She didn't like how rough it was before, but we discussed it and said that we could just back drag that and smooth it right out. So that's what we're doing. We're starting with this big pile of manure on the back side of the barn. Dewey suggested that I just drive in there and back drag it out. After one pull, I realized, uh-oh, but where am I going to put it? I have to drive over that pile each time? I really had no choice but to turn around and back in. Not only was this tight quarters for Johnny 5, it was also incredibly muddy. Well, if you call that mud. The color reproduction on this camera wasn't good at all. I worked on it the next day or two, just plugged and replugged, and I don't know. Eventually I got it where it was working fine. I really have no idea what was going on with it. But we're still going to use it because it helps to show a pretty good angle here. Now this was not easy for me. As you can see, I need to get really close to the barn, but at the same time, the lack of traction just means I move all over the place, so it's really hard for me to get close to the barn without hitting it. Maybe I'm spoiling the drama too early, but I do not believe I ever hit the barn. What a big pile of horse hooey. Shelby and her friend had to try out the new arena. She said the horses loved it. How would you know? Oh well. Dewey said that big pile will rot down, I guess compost, over the summer, and there'll be about half of it left, and he'll eventually have it hauled off. One of the neighbors likes to have the manure for fertilizer. People are always asking about tires. I just want to say that for this project, I wouldn't have wanted anything less aggressive than these Ag R1 tires. The tread cleans much better and gets much better traction than any other tire type I've used. Well, with one exception. There are R2 Rice tires, and they're even more aggressive, but you can't get those most of the time on these compact tractors.
Tim was enjoying and having fun, while I had to stand outside in the horse manure. It didn't smell too bad, but I was glad there was a breeze.
Yeah, Christy always thinks she gets the worst end of the deal, doesn't she? I didn't think it smelled very good inside the cab. And you do notice you're not seeing those signature Christy shots, those close-up views of the action. She seemed to be more interested in standing at a distance this time. Yeah, I can't really say that I blame her. I am really thankful that she comes along and participates in the projects. Makes it a lot more fun for me. There's no question that a skid steer would have been a better tool for this particular project, but it wouldn't have been a very good fit for the disking we did earlier. Doing these two totally different types of projects with one tractor shows the flexibility and versatility of a tractor. I just kept working at it here and eventually got most of it pulled away from the door. I could have done a little better job with Johnny too on that aspect. The visibility just isn't that great here with this larger tractor. The camera helps a lot, but it still doesn't let me see the cutting edge of the bucket. Dewey suggested that I just drag the last of this out into the barn lot and kind of spread it as thinly as I could, and so that's what I did. Got two new friends here. I got Dewey on my right, Dave on my left. We are temporarily closer than our 6 foot distance, but the wind's blowing, so we'll be okay, don't you think?
By.
We first did some disking, we got that all done, and then we moved some horse hooey. What do you think?
I think you've done good. I didn't realize there was so much of it, but it looks good.
Well, if it's anything to do with our government or anything, there's going to be a lot of it.
Yeah, it's already a lot of that. A lot of crap out there. Yeah, that's it.
Johnny 5 did a great job. Dave, you got a chance to drive Johnny 5. What'd you think of that?
I did. I really liked it. A lot more amenities than the 1025.
Yeah, it's a little different than the 1025R, I would say.
I always called his JD.
JD. Well, I always call mine Johnny.
Yeah.
So, hey, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.
Thank you, guys.